Hello again for part 3 of this lesson plan template tour. Now we're going to start with the theoretical framework. Um, I'm actually going to put, I don't know how many of you have gotten a lot of instruction on theoretical or theories and theorists. We do a bit of it in my Ed 120 class, so I know some of you have had it there. But I'm going to post a set of slides that I use in a couple of my classes on the some of the foundational educational theories and theorists. And there'll be some audio embedded in the slides so that you can hear me explain some things in addition to what you see on the slides, and hopefully that will help. The thing that I want to say about when you decide who your inspiration is for this lesson, what theorist or theory, the thing that you want to write in this section is it's got to have two parts. The first part is who is the theorist or theory, and summarize in like one sentence what aspect of their theory is relevant to your lesson. And then the second part is another sentence that says, how is it being implemented in your lesson? So first sentence is, who is the theory or theorist, and what part of their theory is relevant to your lesson? For example, John Dewey is very much, his theory of progressivism very much maintains that learning should be active, hands-on, based on real-world problems. And so if that's your inspiration, the second sentence might be, in this lesson, the second sentence should almost always start, in this lesson, students will be using manipulatives and solving real-world word problems. And so there, I've summarized the relevant theory that I'm going to use, and then I say how it's being used in this lesson. So hopefully that helps. The next section that we're going to look at is the beginning of the lesson. So you really want to think about your lesson being in three parts: the beginning, the middle, and the end. The beginning is all about the instruction, and that should start with a hook, right? How are you going to get their attention? Are you going to show them a video of a snowboarder doing, what do they call it? Like a 1460 or something? Like those snowboarders are crazy. They do like multiple rotations in the air. And maybe you're going to use that to talk about how to calculate angles, the size of an angle or something like that. So maybe you're going to show, Chloe Kim doing a really cool flip in her, snowboarding, and that's going to grab their attention. And then you're going to say, how many degrees did she actually turn? Let's figure out how we solve that. And then you give like a mini lesson. So first there's like a hook that gets their attention. It might be a question. It might be a problem. So it could be anything. It doesn't have to be a video. And then there's like a 10-minute mini lesson. Okay. Now I'm going to show you what we're going to do. And so that's not a long part of this, lesson. It's really just 10, 15 minutes tops. And then you want to make sure that in the beginning you're also covering any new vocabulary and defining that, and just answering any questions that students have. It's also a good idea in the beginning to kind of intentionally do two things. Number one, build a bridge from what they already know. So if you're going to have them, our example of adding and subtracting two-digit numbers, if you're going to have them use a different strategy for adding and subtracting two-digit numbers, maybe you're going to have them use benchmarks. Well, then you might remind them of work that they've done with number lines. And so then kind of like connecting that to the work that you're going to do in this lesson. The other thing that you want to do kind of intentionally is talk about why it's important for them to learn this. You will hear all the time kids say, why do I have to learn this? I'm never going to use it, right? So answer that question right out of the gate. Or better yet, after you've kind of launched into your lesson, pose the question, when do you think we'll use this in the real world? Because I'll tell you, you will. So have students kind of think about and maybe talk to one another about how they're going to use this skill or concept in the real world. Okay, so that's really the essence of the beginning of your lesson. The middle of the lesson is when students are engaged, right? That's all about student engagement. So you've taught them something and now you've let them loose to maybe do practice problems, maybe do stations where they're going to be, in math, we do a lot of different stations where one might be playing a game with a friend to build math facts. Another might be doing problems on my own to build fluency with a skill. Another might be solving real world math problems in my math journal. And another one might be playing or doing IXL. So there are lots of different things that we can have students engage. Maybe students are going to be playing a game, doing a group project. How are the students going to engage with this concept or skill in the middle of your lesson? And then the end of the lesson is really all about the two things, the wrap up and the assessment. So you want to bring students back together if they've been off working in pairs or on their own. You want to bring everyone back together and you want to ask the students, what did we do today? Right? Have them, don't summarize or recap yourself. Have the students do it. What did we learn today? Did anybody have any ahas? Did anybody use like a really cool strategy? So have the students talk about what they learned and then answer any remaining questions that they have. And then finally, you want to give out the assessment and have students do their assessment. That's really all the components of the end of the lesson. And then the next part, you'll have one more video and it will cover the rest of this lesson plan.